Oh, is that you? Are you there? Hi, welcome back to part 9, I think. Yeah, part 9 of the Y-Wing build. Y-Wing, 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 Wing, Y-Wing. Right, we're going to carry on with decaling, which is this one here. Now, there's only so many times I can do a decal and make it look interesting, so I'll talk through, because there's actually 4 of them on that cone. I'll talk through the first part of it, but then it's basically repeating itself 3 more times. And I can't make that look interesting, so yeah, there's going to be time lapse, which I know annoys everybody. But if you want to see proper decaling tutorial type thing, kind of, have a look at this one here, which is where I do the Yamaha and Rossi, which is this one here. They explain decals properly. Does that look wonky? No, stop it, stop it. You're going to break it. I think it's just the angle I'm filming on. Right, so, yeah, for proper tutorial decal type things, look at those 2 annotations. Hopefully I've remembered to put them in. Otherwise it'll look silly just pointing up here like this. So, we'll crack on with that, and then the bit we've all been waiting for, I think. Have you? I don't know. Because at this point I don't know what the reaction is so far for the wrong grey. Anyway, we completely correct it, and it's, you know, watching it then as I was editing, it was like, wow, that really was a dark shade of grey that I used originally, and you know, it looks completely different now. So sit back, relax, and do the thing with the stuff and the what's it and the go. Cut it here and right, so if I orientate this up here, I need, right, let's do the decals. So I've just very quickly added the 2 cones onto the what's it doodah thingy, so I can figure out which decal I needed where. I need number 11 on, get off, this one here, and I need 3 number 10s. Now, having done all the decals in the world ever on this figure here for another channel recently, and then having done even more decals in the world ever on here, there's something daft like, including the visor, something around the region of 23 decals on that helmet. Drove me insane. And if I can remember how to do so, I will throw a link in the thing up here somewhere for that video. Now, well, it's actually 4 videos just for the decals on that alone. 4 hours worth of footage condensed down from 4 days worth of work. It was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And I never want to see a decal ever again, he says, cutting more decals. One thing I figured out towards the end of that was, if we get Micro Sol set, Sol, the blue bottle, if we get Micro set Sol, the blue bottle, yeah. One thing I did find was that I could, on something this small, I could actually go straight in with the micro set, soak the backing paper like so, and this actually activates the decal quicker than water does. You want to go and prove me wrong now, just because we're on TV. Yeah, again, haven't I? That's up, right, that's up. So we've got the flat edge at the top, he's pointing upwards, so this is the top here, just here. So I'm going to take some more micro set, just very quickly dampen that top edge. Oops. Let me stop you. Oh, bloody Nora. That's it. I resign. There we go. So the decal's moving away really quickly. And we need that edge here. That is actually counterintuitive. The curve actually goes away from where you are on this edge here. So on the back of your mind, that's you're screaming it's all wrong. You would assume that the curve goes this way, if that makes sense. But it doesn't because of science and things I don't quite fully understand. Oops. Oh, hello. That doesn't quite line up. Why doesn't that quite line up? It's because... I get it. I get it. It's okay. It's just me. If we imagine... these are attached. And it goes inside. Got it. Right, hang on a minute. Let's get these attached. We go inside those. I understand now. Good shot, Tony. So the most simple decal in the world has completely foxed me. Here's made me look a complete... live on national TV. Because why not? There we go. Right, so that's roughly in line now. So we're going to let that dry off. Where's my cotton bud? Just very gently run a cotton bud across without trying to smudge it. Oh my word. Yeah, I did an entire Yamaha with all those complex curves. I did that figure with all those complex curves. Didn't have a single bloody problem. The most simple decal in the world. That's it, I resign. I've had enough. I am no longer doing models. Ever again. I retire. You've had it. You're on your own now, guys. So much so quick and easy. Right. Leave that to completely dry. So the tiniest decals in the world are now done. I've lost one that's supposed to go just on the side here, number 23. It's ridiculously tiny, and I breathed on it whilst it was on the end of my brush, and poof, it disappeared. It was tiny, the tiniest little thing. So we're going to leave these now for a good hour to dry, and we'll come back and hit them with the red bottle, which is microsol, and then what you should see, I'm assuming from these, is you'll see them wrinkle up and then settle back down again eventually. Well, it takes about 10 minutes or so. Whilst you're looking at it, you're thinking to yourself, oh my god, that looks wrong, but hopefully I can keep one in real time for you, especially these ones. You won't see it as much with these tiny little decals because they're tiny. Yeah, they're impossibly small, like that yellow one there at the back. As good as I am with a brush, I don't think I'll be able to replicate that. These kind of things I would be able to. The little stripes, but like that little red triangle, no, I wouldn't be able to do that. So the little decal that we lost, or that I lost even, for that section there, I'll add that with red paint. It's not a huge problem. Yeah, they're amongst the tiniest decals in the world. Ridiculously small. So leave that for about an hour, and then we'll come back and do some more work on them. That's what I was going to say as well. I'm not happy with that grey at all. It's too dark. I don't like it. And rather than repaint the whole thing, I'm going to show you a quick fix. I've deliberately left that dark grey in the back of my mind so that I can show you the quick fix, which will involve, like we did with the rubber black, thinning it down roughly 2 parts thinner to 1 part paint. We'll do the same, but this time with white, which should just lighten everything up. So it's kind of like the bleaching we did with the lighter grey, but it's just going to lighten everything that little bit more. So we'll talk about that once we've sealed all these decals in, because we'll need to seal the decals, because the X20A, when we thin the white down, will react with those decals. I can't stop looking at all the greeblies. It's absolutely immaculate. Right, so we'll come back now with the microsol. Now, if I just show you my brushes, I actually have 2 separate brushes just for this purpose. So I've got one with 1 piece of tape on, which is for the micro set, one with 2 stripes of paint, tape, and that's for the microsol. As you can see, I've numbered the bottle lids so that I can tell which one's which. So you generally use microset first and then microsol afterwards to settle the decals down. So if I take this thing here and zoom you right in, get the right button, Tony. And hopefully you can see this without the glare of the lights. Now come and do this first decal that we did. As you can see, it's quite a generous dollop. Now with some cheaper decals you'll actually see that react straight away, so hopefully as I'm waffling away with my little self it'll start reacting. It's not quite doing anything yet, so I'll just nudge the rest of these whilst we're at it. Like so. There's lots of car doors banging and slamming outside. Let's come back to that first one. I can actually see now it's actually gripping around these edges here, and that's basically what this microsol does. The set will actually soften your decal. This will actually react to help the decal conform to these little complex curves and lumps and bumps and things like that. So this will actually shrink the decal down a little bit. So it's a bit like vacuum forming, if you're familiar with that. It's a very similar process. Now hopefully you can see there, it's not actually wrinkled the decal properly, but you can just about make out on this edge here, it's actually pulling the decal in. so it's actually, you know, reacting like a shrink wrap type thing. And there is a couple of wrinkles at the bottom here. They're just taking shape. Like I say, on cheaper decals you'll actually see the decal wrinkle right up. It's doing the same around here somewhere. What we can do whilst we've got this stuff on the brush, and I've not gone back to the pot or anything yet, so I'm literally using whatever's on the brush. We can just nudge around these lines from the lumps and bumps just to guide the decal in. Like so. There's the most bizarre noise coming from downstairs. I'm not too sure what that is that's just attached to the decal there. I don't think it's any unprotected paint. That's quite bizarre. But I'm actually going to leave that. That'll come in as part of the weathering. If I start trying to scrub away at that now, because we've added the sole over the top, we'll actually risk damaging the decal. So we'll leave that in. Hopefully you can see now that we're pulling down nicely onto those lumps and bumps. So that's going to take about another 10 minutes or so to do. So I'm going to pop that back there, zoom back out again, like so. I'm just going to very quickly over here. Now it doesn't really matter so much on this because we're on nice flat panels. I'm just going to very gently dollop, turn that bit over the top. Now, part of the reason we add a gloss varnish to the model before we start decaling is because essentially that is white vinegar which will bleach your paint. This is essentially X20A. It's not exactly the same, they're very very close to white vinegar and X20A, but obviously with unprotected paints, especially acrylics, it will actually react with them. So even if you use a glossy paint, protect everything you do with a varnish first, especially a gloss varnish. Excuse me, to protect your paint from the bleaching effect of those two agents. Now, the other reason we use a gloss varnish is a sciencey thing called, I've forgotten what it's called. Surface tension. Surface tension. And what that basically means is, if we take a beaker like this, fill it with water, slip some paper over the top. You've probably seen this in school years and years and years ago, or if you're still in school, you probably, hopefully, should have been taught this in science. You put a piece of paper right over the top whilst it's absolutely brimful to the top with water. What will happen is the water will actually suck the piece of paper on. So when you turn it upside down and take your hand away, the piece of paper will stay in place. And have everybody in stitches when the teacher goes like that and pulls the paper away and the poor kid gets soaked. Now, that's basically surface tension, and a similar principle happens with these decals. Once you've got the gloss varnish on and you've got the liquid beneath the decal, so you've got model liquid decal over the top, that liquid actually pulls the decal down. Now, using microset neat as I've been doing so far, once it evaporates it drags the decal right down using the decal zone adhesive, some kind of chemical thing, and it's down, it's fixed, it's on. So I've got a generous dollop of that Microsol, the red bottle now, over the top. And basically what that's doing is doing the same thing that it's doing with the yellow decals there on the nose cone, shrinking it up slightly on the molecular level, and then it's pulling it back down, so it's like vacuum forming to the curve of whatever we're working on. So I can happily leave that now and let it evaporate over the next 10-20 minutes or so, and those decals should be okay. Once that's done, We'll seal everything in with a gloss varnish, and then we'll come back and do the little bleaching effects I was talking about a moment ago with white. Something like that. Here we go. Right, so the decals have had overnight to dry now, and you should probably say that's a really stark yellow compared to the yellow that we've done on the cockpit tub. And if we have a look at the one we spray painted, it's virtually the same as what we've done to the cockpit. So I'll let you decide which one you're going to do. Now I'm going to stick with the half and half so I can show you, how we'd weather these anyway. And hopefully by the time I'm finished weathering that one, it'll look more towards this side of things. So it's got the painted on effect. Now I do have to add a couple of little markers like that little black mark there, but that goes this way apparently onto one of these things. I don't know. It made sense to somebody somewhere, so I'm just going to very quickly gloss varnish those again, just so they match up with each other. We've got to protect the paint and the decal anyway from the next layer of weathering that we do. So don't forget, the golden rule of thumb is protect everything, each layer that you do, protect each layer every time. There we go. What I'm going to do is build this up with you, so I rather forgot to do that the last time round. So we need, hang on, let me get my orientation. We need that way up. It's quite confusing, this part. Did for me anyway. I'm not doing it again. I can't quite get my head around it. So that part goes in there, like so. Now I've actually got this separate on the starboard side, but I'm actually going to build all this as one and glue it all together as well. So we need those two bits like that. So that's up, like so. Where the vein goes in that side, like so. And you get two silly little stubby things that I can't even begin to focus on. There's two little notches on the ring. Right, let's try and see if we can sort that shadow out. So there's two little notches on the ring. Just come right down in there. Hopefully you can make those out. Two little notches there. There's one at the top, one at the bottom. And there's two tiny little tabs just in this corner here. So I'm going to try and line those up. And it went in first time. On the starboard side, that took about 10 minutes to do. Magic. So whilst that's there, I'm actually going to glue that in, which I haven't done on the starboard side. I'm doing this so that I know which one's which. I'll leave starboard side loose, so I'm literally going to dab just a 10 little line there, 10 little line there, give that a little squish. Like so, a 10 little dot. Get a shot, Tony. 10 little dot in that top corner there, one there. Again, another gentle little squish. So I now know that this is port side. Like I said, we've left the starboard side out separate. There we go. Yep, that way, like so. like so. I'm going to attach all these little vanes. Okay. So I've got the starboard side on now, but I've left the thing out, so I know which one's which. Lid on my glue, make sure I don't spill that, because it's me, I'm bound to spill it. So I've actually found it easier to add these things to the pod. It does tell in the instructions that, you know, build this up with the pod off the fuselage. Which, yeah, would be a lot easier. But it's me. Why do it easy when you can do it complicated? Great noise! And no, I'm not going to do it again because I nearly broke it. Slap that one on there. And then this. Just get my bearings again. We need, just grab a pokey tool, pokey stick even. What is going on with this lighting? This tiny little greebly that sticks up at the top here, that needs to go inboard. And we need that little weather vane there, horizontal. And we'll add that to the back there, like so. That one to the back there, like so. But this is how I managed to glue this ring on the starboard side. No, I forgot that was still on. So get that vein on there. That one on there. And very carefully the two at the back. Like so. Give them a quick squish, make sure they're okay. Just come back up here a little bit, give myself some room. Be very careful at this point as you're squeezing these things together. It does feel quite flimsy, that ring, if you had too much pressure on. And from the inside, I'm just going to add a couple of dots of glue he says it was a lot easier with that thing off. So we'll get one there, one there, one there. The capillary reaction will take that glue all the way around the join line. Hello. There we go. That's it. And very gently, just give them another little squeeze, just to make sure. Very careful and delicate. Like so. And pop that down. Yeah, that'll do. Pop that down, leave it alone for about half an hour whilst the glue does its thing. You won't need half an hour, but the longer you can leave glue to set, the better. Alright, so now we've moved that off to the side. The paint here should be dry long enough. Should have dried long enough. These things work far better in my head. There we go. Alright, so because we've got the masking tape on, we can now spray varnish that. Whereas if we took that masking off now, we would have to dip the canopy, because spray varnishing onto a canopy just doesn't work. It just fogs everything for some reason. Well, that's my experience anyway. Again, other guys have had better results, but whenever I try and do it, it goes all the wrong. It just doesn't work. So I'm just going to swap my airbrushes out again. And we'll do some varnishing. Oops. Alright then, so very carefully, very gently, very delicately, just going to pop these back off. Little wiggle. And where are you? Let's grab a cocktail stick. Just very carefully, very gently prise these off. How many people's toes are curling right now? He's gonna break it. It's fine, it's just a lump of plastic, it'll fix. Very gently, very carefully. Pop! There we go. Very gently, very carefully. Pop! There we go. And then the last one, you watch this one break. Very gently, very carefully. There's my knife, there's my knife, there's my knife. Pop! Obviously if you're doing that you're going to be very careful doing that indeed. You're not going to be silly sausage like I was just then. Be very careful, you're going to be very professional. And things like that. If you are going to use a knife, then I would suggest don't go in blade first. Zoom in a little bit. Don't go in blade first, use the back of the blade, squeeze in and then lever away like so. Don't use the cutty side. Right, so we need to paint this. Zoom back out again, Tony. Ooh. We need to paint this. Yeah. What else do we need to do? It's at one of those stages now where everything's coming together all at once. Ooh, that's what we need to do. We we need to shoot inside there. Because so far Tony's been a silly burk and he's not done the inside of here. So whilst we're here, I'll very quickly take this side off as well. So, we also need to paint. Hello, why are you all this? We need to take all that apart anyway, so we can add the inside of the engine. So we're just going to pop, if we can. It's not all been sealed in yet. Yeah, of course we can, Malcolm. Just going to pop those off. Hello. Obviously there's always going to be one that's a little bit awkward. Just very gently pop that off, like so. Now then, do we weather these now, or do we just base coat them? This is the question, because the lid is looking stuff over already. Oh, these are the perils when you walk away from your desk after having been on a little roll to go and have a wee-wee and things like this. Yeah, I've just said wee-wee on national TV. So, just looking at the box art, because it's a slightly bigger picture. Don't forget, this is only a guide. That's the pre-shading we've done here on this bit. As you can see, that's nowhere near the colour. Like I said, we're going to correct that later on. It's not a problem. It's not a problem, so we'll get it more towards this colour. So we've got that complete contrast as well with the nasally bit that we've done. So it's not a huge problem, but I'm just trying to find out whether I need to weather this part, which is obviously this bit here. So the main thing is saying no. We're going to leave that nice and clean. But I don't want to leave that nice and clean. Oh, decisions, decisions. What I have noticed though is on... Where's it gone now? On these streaky pylon-y type things, if you have a look just there, they've added some heat damage parallel to where the nozzles are. Just there as well. It's probably not the best picture to use, but there is definitely heat damage across that inside and outside edge. So we'll have to bear that in mind. We'll have to bear that in mind when we do the post shading, weathering type stuff. So, I'm going to say for now, don't worry about base coat being too dark. We can sort that out with a little bit of shading. Post shading, shading, post shading, post shading. I'll tell you what, ladies and gentle pongs, I'm hugely impressed with these Neo thingy jobbies. So if you are on a budget, like I am, and you do need new airbrush, or you're looking to buy an airbrush for the first time, get one of these Neos. Absolutely bloody beautiful. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in an earlier clip. I've heard quite a few guys saying bad things about these. I love it. I absolutely adore this airbrush. Really, really do. Right. Stop twaddling, Tony. Let's get on with this. So I'm just going to add roughly 1/2 ml of thinners to the big cup. And I'm going to add roughly the same again of the base coat colour we've been using, which is XF83. Just to base coat all this thing Ha. Again, I know this is completely the wrong colour, and it's ended up being far too grotty and horrible for anybody's liking, including my own. But I need to tie this in now with everything else we've been doing so far. Ooh, that hurt. Let's connect my air supply back up. Where's my mixie brush? I lost my mixie brush has disappeared. The mixing brush has disappeared. It was there a minute ago. Where have you gone? Hello? There you are. I don't know. I'm going to mix all that together. Like so. Quick test on the side to check consistency. Nice and dribbly and runny. Do it that side. Nice and dribbly and runny, so happy with that. Keep up there in my line of sight, and then cover the nozzle. Quick blowback, just to agitate everything together, and then very quickly, very gently, a couple of light coats. Build up the colour. Now we're at it. We're just going to very quickly blast into these interiors. Just to liven them up a little bit. Like so. Leave them to dry. And then we can weather them in properly in a minute. Film a quick colour change for you as well while I'm here. So I've literally just finished filming that clip where we painted the port side. So disconnect my air supply, and then X20A into the cup, like so. Grab my little mixie brush. you up out of the way so I'm not smacking you in the head, poking you in the eye. I'm just going to literally just run all the way around, like so. What I'm not going to do is blow that through, because if there are any greavies or any dried paint or anything like that, it's just going to gum up into the bottom end. So what we're going to do is soak up most of that. Now, in my older videos I used to say tip that away off to the side. Well, I've actually got a solid plastic bin with a bin bag inside it, loads of old kitchen roll inside, at the bottom soak everything up. What I would normally do is just tip that away off to the side into that bin and then throw the lot away. People were sat there, questions I used to get about it as well. People used to sit there and go, hang on, I've done that, where can I tip it away? So that's what I used to do. I still do when I'm not filming. Just whake off to the side and off we go. I'm going to do a second one. This time I'm going to connect to the air supply. And what we should find is, squeak, connect to the air supply. I'm just going to cover the nozzle and blow back. You see it goes all murky and horrible. So again, tip that away. So I'm actually going to tip that off to the side this time. Into my bin. While the chamber's empty. Zoom you in. While the chamber's empty, I'm going to cover the nozzle again and blow back. You can see there's all kinds of stuff blowing back into the needle, which is all grotty and horrible, and that's why we don't blow through. So I'm going to add a tiny bit more, do another blow through, and again tip that away. Another quick blow through. Also focused. Go on, focus. Never mind the background. I want you on the foreground. Come on. There we go. So you can see now there's nothing coming back on the needle. So I'm happy enough to blow that through now. Nothing coming back. What I'll do now is I'll swap into the airbrush cleaner, which is this stuff here. That's where I got the screw cap from for the X20A bottle. And it fits exactly perfectly, which is all marvellous and lovely. Blow into the bubbles, we'll draw the needle back a tiny little bit, get the back end of the needle, blow that away. And then quick wipe all the way around the inside of the cup. Zoom it back out a little bit. That's a quick and nasty colour change. What we should find now is, once we've dried the inside of there as well, inside of the nozzle, use your words, Tony, dry the inside of the nozzle, make sure the nozzle's clean. We should find there's no painty residue or anything like that coming through the nozzle when we spray. So just a quick drop. Absolutely no paint there whatsoever now, so that's ready now for the next colour, which is lovely. So bring the fuselage back in and add the pods back on. Don't forget these pods will only go one way. So we've got the bulge underneath. Shush. Just got that bulge underneath like so. Just going to very loosely, in fact that's that side, very loosely add those, like so, just so I can get a rough idea of what's what. And that's the starboard side, no, port side. Ooh, Tony, that was rubbish. So again, get that little greebly to the inside. Now, the back of my mind earlier on, I was sat there going, that looks completely different colour to the fuselage, even though it's the same colour that we used earlier, and it looks very light. All kinds of panic going on. And then I realised I didn't appreciate all these parts. Whereas the fuselage itself has been pre-shaded, which is why it looks darker. Yay, like so. So we have these in like so. I'm just going to, well, I've got that out, I'm just going to add that over the top here. So I can actually paint these separately, that's okay. That's all I need to know. So I'm actually going to weather those slightly differently from the rest of the bird anyway. Because obviously it's an engine, you know, it's going to get hot in there. So this is my line of thinking. I'm going to very quickly add this one. Ooh, tell you what, let's put that straight in. We'll get them. Then we need an inboard side. So I'm going to get it the right way around. Don't forget, I make mistakes so you don't have to. I don't know. Right, so that needs to go inboard. So that's that way around. I think so. Let's make sure they're all in. Second brush back on. X20A, not airbrush cleaner. I resign. It's roughly half a mil. And then again of white. Slightly less than half a mil. We're not quite going half and half, but we want this quite runny. We're going to do the opposite now with pre-shading. The pre-shaded, post-shady type wash we were doing earlier. I've lost that brush again. It's there, Tony. So we do want quite a wet mix. What I might do is just add a touch of grey to that. Just lighten it up. I'm happy with the consistency. Just dabbing off to the side there. Yep, happy with that. So what I'm going to do to this now is I'm going to add just a touch of that XF83. So I'll load the brush up from the pot. Just mix it up like so. Possibly a bit more. Yep, happy with that. Happy with that. Okay. Just wipe my rim. And do that little blob up thing. Whee! Get paint everywhere. That would be lovely. Lid back on the paint so we don't spill it everywhere, because it's me, I'm bound to drop it before everybody starts making any jokes. I might do a langy. Yeah? You're not getting away with that one, lad. so don't pop my elbow into it. Right. Grab a kitchen roll again. Don't worry, I recycle all this anyway. I do go through loads of it. So put that there. Quick blow back just to agitate everything. Check the consistency. I'm still happy with that. Yeah, happy with that. So what we're going to do now is, from quite a high angle, so right up in the air, just going to very gently blow over the top of everything. And I'll do it on this port side first, so we can still see some of the colours underneath that we've added, but we're not on top of it, so we're not absolutely saturating the area. So if I do this port side only, we should now see completely changes the colour. So I'll do it again, staying with this port side. So it's now completely changed it. So if you do find that your original base coat is too dark, like I've done, don't worry, we can always fix it. It's not a lost cause. It's always fixable. So I'm just going to very gently, very lightly go over everything we've done so far. Even some of that greebly detail we did is still visible. So honestly, it's never, ever a problem. I get guys getting in touch with me all the time. I've done it wrong. There's no such thing. Fail is a first attempt at learning. Stop, breathe, don't panic, relax, it's fine, it will all be solved. So I'm just going to take a quick photo of that because I forgot to take photos of it before we did it. So I'll be back in a second. Photographs taken. Lovely stuff. Right, let's get back into this now. So yeah, quite a high angle. Hardly any air coming through. Nice and relaxed. Now for a split second I thought I hadn't pressed record. Well, I'm being summoned. Never a problem. There we go, completely changed that colour. Lovely. A couple of highlights in there, a couple from underneath. So, always fixable. Honestly, never panic, guys. Never sit there thinking it's ruined. Never bin it. And these are all mistakes I've made in the past. Ooh, I can't reach. I can't reach. I can't reach. There we go. Just drop that on there. Mix up, pop that off to the side to dry. Get off my glove. Off my glove. Get off my glove. Thank you. Relax, breathe, think about it. We can always fix it. always. So I'm just going to, hopefully with the aid of my hobby knife, I like that. I like that. I do like that. So literally 5 minutes later, literally, we've still got a little bit of paint left in the cup. So we've not used vast quantities of this yet. So I'm just going to add just a couple of really light high spots. Thank you. Alright, it does mean as well is this panel that we darkened up in the previous stages. We've got to go back and redo that one, but that's fine. Right, so bob that off to the side again and then give the airbrush another cleaning. Liquid. So there we go. One colour corrected thing. So next episode I think we're doing the washes. Something like that. I'm not too sure because I've not actually looked at the footage properly yet to sort it all out and things like that because I'm busy. So join me next time. I will do something else with this thing. I know, not the best of outros, but hey, it's Friday. It's Friday, I'm off for a party now.